Howdy y'all, Fuzzy Biker here. We're at Baxter Cycle in Marnie, Iowa, and look what we've got today. This is the Supernova Royal Enfield Meteor 350 Supernova model. It's got the Supernova trim setup, which means the triple tone paint, the sissy bar in the back seat, these special rims that are milled. But an absolutely beautiful motorcycle, just a gorgeous thing. This is becoming one of my favorite bikes, this 350 series, between this and the Classic. But so this is a more modern version of that bike. So let's start with the engine. It's got the same 350 engine, 349cc, 2-valve, overhead cam, fuel injected. It's got a balancer shaft to smooth it out so it idles relatively smooth. To give it more gas, it just smooths right out. We'll talk about riding it later. 5-speed transmission, very nice 5-speed transmission. And notice this, toe shifter and heel shifter. And I grew up on heel shifters, but I haven't used one for years other than these. So I always have to remind myself to use them, but it's just grand. You don't have to put your toe underneath. You don't have to do that. You can just use your heel. But very nice setup. Anyway, the engine cranks out, I think it's 20 horsepower and about 19 something in torque. And it's a very smooth engine with a lot of, its torque comes in very low, so it's just great for that. Look at that, isn't that just a gorgeous looking machine? Just a gorgeous thing. Okay, let's jump to the front. 41mm tubes. I think there's about 4 inches of travel there. I'll look that up and put it below if I'm wrong. The brake is a bi-bree dual piston with a 300mm rotor, anti-lock ABS, and the back I think is a 270mm single pot with anti-lock also. Very nice brakes, and the 270 on the back is usually they're about 240, so I don't know why these have a larger one. There must be some reason, but very nice brakes. I love using this bike. I love riding this bike. It's just excellent that way. But just look at that. Very classic looking, even though it's a modern bike. It's got the same classic engine. You know, very well done. And here again, I just want to point out, I hope the camera can pick that out. There is all kinds of metal flake in that fender. Just a gorgeous thing. Twin shocks on the rear. Giant chrome muffler, look at that. Isn't that just a good angle right there? Moving up here to the top end, let's look at this stuff. We'll click that thing on. You see that? Little lights down there, battery light, engine light, ABS light, fuel gauge built right into the meter right there. Can you see that? Gear indicator. It's got a trip A, trip B, and right now it's showing trip F, which means low on gas. But just absolutely very nice, simple, good display. Over here is the nav system. Has a clock. It's a clock right now, but you hook this up with your phone, it'll give you turn-by-turn directions in that little screen. Then when you're done, it'll tell you what your average speed was, how far you went, all those neat things. But very nice. So looking at this, it's got the Amal style grips, the old Amal style grips. You know, very nifty, wider in the center section, kind of like your hand. It fits very well. It's got flash to pass, brights, normal, the blinkers of course. Down here's the horn. Shut that off. Here's the kill switch, run switch, and the start switch. I just shut the key out. That's why it's not hopping to life. And of course the hazard lights right there. Kind of cool, isn't it? Then these mirrors. These are chrome. There's a lot of chrome on this bike. This kind of thing here is it's a cover for the hardware, but it also mimics on older bikes. They used to put these vibration dampeners on the mirrors, and that kind of covers that up. Also right here we have the LCD here. You can control the trip meters and stuff with this button here, information button. Very nice. Other things, look at these beautiful levers. I love the way they're, you know, they're not just a stamped utilitarian looking, then they've actually got really good styling to them. And then on these bikes, like my Himalayan does not have this. My Himalayan has a clutch adjustment down here like this does. This bike actually has it on both places, down there and above up here. So that's a very nice feature also. But isn't that just a neat looking thing? Very modern. So the paint is really a big deal on this bike, I think. And so we'll start with the tank. This is the Supernova Brown. It's got the metal flake on there. It's got the silver stripe and then a black down below. Same here. The brown, the silver stripe, and then the black down below. What I really like about this is, look at this. This is a metal casting, just a very beautiful. It's painted in the black back. It's painted black in the back. Just a really neat looking thing. You know, just really adds a lot to the look of the bike. And then, like I talked about, the side covers already. These side covers come off with a key pretty easily. I think both sides are keyed. Well, one side's keyed, and one side's the battery, the other side's probably the air filter. Fuel injected, of course. Just a gorgeous thing. So these Meteors, one of the big differences between this one and the 350 Classic is it has a slower seat height and it has forward controls. The controls on the Classic are back here. On the Meteor, they are more forward, and that's why there's a little thing here to keep your shoe off the pipe. But just a gorgeous little thing. Very good looking, very cruiserist. You know, the seat height, by the way, is 30 inches, 30.1, I believe. So very low seat height, and of course it's a very narrow motorcycle. So, you know, when I sit on this bike, you know, here I am. I have a 30-inch inseam, and let's put that in gear. And you know, I'm on the fronts of my feet, but it's still very low. Also, this bike has a very low center of gravity, so it feels very light. Moving back to the seat, we've got the nice large solo seat, and then a nice pillion seat back here, back seat, and of course a padded backrest for the rider. Here are cast grips to hang on to, and here's something I really like too. Look at this. This is a cast metal back piece, and this is a milled flat. You know, isn't that just beautiful? It just goes really well with the whole back end. I just love the way that whole back end looks. I mean, look at all the chrome on this thing. You know, from the blinkers to the rim on the tail light, handlebars, the mufflers, the side covers here. You know, this feature here in the gas tank, and just very, you know, the mirrors, everything is just very, very well done. Very good looking bike. I love it. I love it. This bike weighs 421 pounds, so that's, you know, that's pretty darn light. I think that's wet. Has a 55.1 inch wheelbase, so I think that's slightly more than the Classic. It has 6.7 inches of ground clearance. 6.7 inches. That is quite a bit of ground clearance. And why do I mention that? Well, it's one, you want to know, but two, look at this one over here. This one's been made into kind of a dirt bike. This too is a Meteor. Look at that. Isn't that just a little more off-roady, isn't it? Those beefy tires, the loud everything, loud colors, loud pipe. I love the well, let's talk about that one another day. Anyway, just a beautiful, you know, brown Supernova brown bike here. So how are these bikes to ride? Well, I broke my shoulder, so I can't ride it, but I have ridden these before, and I'll give you a little lowdown on that. So in the parking lot, like around here, pushing it around the garage, or, you know, very easy to do. Even me with my busted shoulder can do it. Very low center of gravity. It pushes very well. 0 to 5 or 10 miles an hour. It's very controllable, very easy going. It's got a great clutch with great, you know, friction zone. The bike just goes right. All the torque is at the bottom. Well, it starts at the bottom. Very good motor for that. Speeding up, like around town, 35, 40 miles an hour. It's a dream. It's really in its own by that point. And I think it does that all the way up to 50, all the way up to 60. Going down the 2-lane blacktops, here we have so many in Iowa. This thing is just a ball to ride. It just handles so well. It's so stable. I think that's the key thing about it. It's very stable. It's very easygoing. It's not peaky at all. It's very easy. The engine is so much torque down low and at low RPMs that it's just very easy to use this bike for those kind of riding, for that kind of riding. How about the interstate? I would not go on the interstate on this bike unless I only had to go a mile or 2 or 3, and you're never, you know, I think this bike tops out at 70, so I would not. I would just try to stay off the interstate. But otherwise, you know, it's a great bike. Gravel roading, well, this one's got a really high level of trim, so I don't know if I'd want to do much gravel roading on it, but it would do it just fine. It's got very large fenders. I mean, look at this fender here. It goes all the way down, you know, very low, and that'll protect the bike a lot. Same back here, you know, if you count this as part of the fender. So I think You could do gravel on these very well. Obviously they do on that one. But on this particular model and the way it looks and how shiny and chromy and fancy it is, I think I'd try to stay off gravel a little bit with this one just because of how it looks. Meteors are a great looking bike. Like I said, the big difference between this and the Classic, if the Classic is more classic looking, of course, this is more modern looking. The big difference to note on these would be the seat height is slightly lower, about an inch lower, actually about an inch and a half lower, and then the forward controls on this bike. So I by the way, I like forward controls. And you know, just something really quick, look at these foot pegs. All, you know, these Royal Enfields have just wonderful foot pegs. You know, the great big lever for the brake. I mean, that's nice, very nice touch on their part. And even the passenger foot pegs. And look at that, just gorgeous. And like almost every Royal Enfield out there, I think there's one model that doesn't. This has a center stand. So when you need to adjust your chain or do any kind of maintenance, you've got the center stand right down there. And by the way, look at this. I always point these out, the high quality of the side stands. And it isn't just a stamped piece of steel or something with a welded end on it. It's actually a very good looking product. Absolutely gorgeous machine. Absolutely gorgeous machine. I do enjoy riding them. When I get my shoulder healed up, I'm going to try to take that one for a 100-mile ride on back roading and see how it goes. Just a wonderful bike. Anyway, I'm Fuzzy Biker. I can't go ride today, but maybe you can. If you can, get out there on your bikes and get out there and do it. Life is good. Enjoy. Wahoo!